Hello, welcome back to Sonic Lab. I've still got the Roland System-8 here. It's actually going back very shortly. And while it was here, I wanted to cover a couple of things that I think perhaps I didn't go into too much depth with on the original review. And that's really kind of down to the effects section. The effects themselves are three discrete multi-effects units, very sort of hands-on. You can just grab and turn the depth or whatever the knobs particularly do for each algorithm. And I just wanted to show you how that can kind of drastically shape the sound of the instrument and also kind of integrate into the sound design process, because as I said in the original review, obviously we've still got the same System-8. This is still the 8-voice DSP based ACB IRA flagship polysynth. My original review, I did feel that it's, while it has some limitations, it does feel like a very complete instrument, and as such it enables you to go on these kind of journeys into sound design, and I think the effects are a very major part of that. So I just wanted to focus on them a little bit more. So I'm going to start with a very basic sound. I've just got one oscillator, and this is in the kind of multi-saw mode. So I'm just going to dial in a bit of colour, which gives it this kind of super saw style effect, but this is just all going to be one oscillator. So let's take a look and see what some of those effects do to that sound. So let's start off with the overdrive circuit. A little bit of depth goes a long way on this guy. If I introduce some resonance and maybe bring down the... This is with the tone all the way down. Bring the tone up. You can get that kind of crazy 303 heavily distorted sound or driven sound, but we can also apply it to pads as well if we want. So if I drop this down, maybe what I'll do is I'll take the release up, take the resonance down, so we've got a more of a... And we'll just dial in a little bit of this drive. Maybe bring the tone up. I can work on pads for a little bit of more subtle colouring as well. Next algorithm is the distortion, which again is a little bit more extreme. Gets a little bit more kind of, let's take the release, a bit more extreme. Then finally we got metal. Sounds quite nice if you take the tone right down. Get some real thick bottom end there, and again this is just a single effect. We haven't got either of these guys on. This is probably my favourite. This is the Fuzz, which is again got a more of a kind of character to it. Again, you only need a little bit. Again, if we wanted to make that kind of maybe on a pad, we might drop it right down. Got a nice harmonic tone to it. Finally on this section, we've got in the reduction we've got Crusher, which is another interesting sound. And again, if I modify the sound a little bit, let's take that saw out and just bring up a simple sine wave. Depth in this case affects the amount of reduction. So we can sort of go down to, well, it sounds like sort of 1 bit maybe. And then the tone is actually quite like a low pass filter. And we can create some sort of nice sort of bell tone, like chip tune side of tones, which again can be quite an intrinsic part of the basic sound. Finally, we've got a phaser on this section. In this case, depth is the speed, and tone feels like maybe it's the colour. If we maybe go into a sort of more pad-like sound. But what's also interesting, this goes right up. Starts to sound almost sort of granular and really odd. So, you know, it's nice to see that extreme setting. Next section, whizzing through them a bit here. Standard delay, mono delay with the level. One thing I did find, I didn't mention this in the review, there's a tempo sync button here. If I hit the tempo sync button, then the delay time becomes mapped to beat divisions. So we can get some really long, if I take the tempo right down, almost get it into kind of looper territory there. So in tempo sync mode you can get quite a lot of delay out of it. Next one is a straight panning delay. If I bring the tempo back up, take it right down. Standard stereo panning delay, which also means that we can tempo sync that and get to the access to the longer times. Next up, we've got a couple of choruses, and these are again very interesting. So if I come take it down an octave, I bring the level up. This is depth and this is rate. We can get quite extreme with this. Right up into, again, into those sort of high audio rates. If we take the depth down, and we've got this sort of ability to create this crunchy, almost like distortion with the speed of the rate, but it also still throws it out wide. So we chorus 2 is more of the same, but it's a bit richer. Again, slow setting. And get it almost into pitch modulation. Again, we can do that thing with a little bit of tiny bit of high rate modulation, or just go into that nice sort of 80s foreigner style chorus. Next up is the flanger, and this is actually quite extreme. So if I again go to a longer sound and bring up the level, time is the rate and level is, sounds like a cross between feedback and maybe regeneration. We can get those jet-like, real sort of extreme, and the speed goes up, not as fast as the other modulation, but it's nice to hear those sort of extreme ends of this as well. So finally on this section, we've got delay and chorus combination, and this again, just if I just go into a maybe gives us modulated delay in a kind of in one single algorithm. Okay, next up is the reverbs and ambiences. We start off with an ambient, which is a very short sound. Great if you want that kind of, you can take it right up and it starts to get really pingy and a bit unnatural, well, very unnatural sounding, but you could again use it, say maybe in some lower notes. for some quite unusual sort of effects. But yeah, not really designed to sound authentic at that high rate, but has a purpose perhaps. Next one is a room. It's really sort of an extension of the ambience. At high rate, has that kind of rather ringy quality, not exceptionally authentic, but might have some use for you if you want. I guess you could dial it in and do a bit of that kind of classic, maybe jump style polysynth stuff, if that's what you want. Then we've got a couple of halls, and these are a bit richer. Maybe do a little short sound into it. Get a little bit ringy at the top. Second hall is a bit richer and sort of deeper sounding. More damped perhaps, fuller range. Next one is a plate, and this is a much richer sounding reverb, and so start bringing that up. Maybe add a bit of, let's add a bit of noise to that. Again, not the highest quality, but certainly it's sort of increasing in quality. And then finally, we've got the mod delay, the mod setting, which is a kind of modulated reverb. Take that out of that. You can hear there's a sort of chorus aspect to that. Take that down, maybe bring the sound up a little bit and go back into our kind of foreigner mode. As well as the basic effects on the front panel, hitting menu and then patch effects and enter, you can go through some additional parameters for each effects type. Certainly in chorus, you've got chorus pre-delay, low cut, high cut, modulation, reverb, pre-delay, low cut, high cuts, and density. So you do get some additional parameters if you want to tweak a bit more than the front panel allows you. So that's a kind of rough tour of the basic algorithms. It's when you start adding them all together to create these kind of more abstract and unusual sounds. Again, we're starting with just a basic single oscillator sound. Perhaps what we could actually do is bring in some audio rate mod. If we bring in oscillator 2, oscillator 2 is just a single sawtooth, but we can set the destination, the source of the modulation to be oscillator 3. So get into some real additional kind of ring moddy style stuff, so add that reverb in. And of course we can also cross mod between oscillator 1 and 2. Starting to get some interesting sounds. Now let's try a bit of that fuzz in there. Yeah, now and it's starting, these effects are really starting to shape the sound. Ooh, and don't forget we could modulate these parameters in the sequencer without having any notes and then get some other interesting parts going. So as you can see, there's a lot of scope there just in the effects, and I like I say, I didn't feel like I gave them enough justice. So once again, you can watch the full review of the System-8. Just a pricey. I thought it was a great instrument, as a thing that you would play with, lacking some features for sure. I did feel it was a little bit overpriced, but still, you know, I'm hearing from people who've got them are saying, yes, I understand the flaws, but I can still find that it takes me places, and I think the effects are a big part of that. So anyway, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.